A lot of spending money lately. The NBA free agent frenzy has not stopped. The big one this morning, Kemba Walker and the Oklahoma City Thunder have agreed to a contract buyout this morning, paving the way for Walker to sign with his hometown New York Knicks. That, according to Adrian Wojnarowski. Thunder general manager Sam Presti and Walker's agents worked to come to an agreement on a buyout of the 2 years and $74 million remaining on Walker's contract. I said hometown. Who could flash back and forget to this memorable moment from Kemba, 2011, the Big East quarterfinals, the step back, tied at 74 against Pitt. That won the game. A magical season for the Huskies. They went on to win the national championship. Kemba in front of the home crowd. By the way, that Pitt team was a 1 seed in the tournament.
How was that a decade ago?
Got bounced in the second round. See, I was trying to avoid the, hey, look how old we are.
I'm sorry, but it feels like yesterday.
Well, maybe it was in some people's minds. Walker's New York homecoming is just the latest of a number of returns to the city this offseason. Over the past 5 weeks, Knicks have been busy from the upcoming season. They've been adding players. On Tuesday, Evan Fournier, the Celtics signed a 4-year, $78 million deal to also join the Knicks. In other news today, we had some busy stuff this morning. Restricted free agent forward John Collins, a 5-year, $125 million deal to stay with the Hawks, also according to Woj. The deal includes a player option in the 5th year. Collins averaged 21.6 points and 10.1 rebounds per game.
And then do the math on this one, or not, because it might make you feel bad. But Steph Curry has a 4-year, $215 million extension with the Warriors. He is the only NBA player to get multiple $200 million deals. The Bulls, they pulled off a sign and trade with the Spurs, and it's gotten Chicago DeMar DeRozan on a 3-year, $85 million deal. He can actually sign it Friday when that free agent moratorium is lifted. And the Nets, they're getting some depth for their backcourt, courtesy of a Patty Mills. After 10 years with the Spurs, at 12 in the league, he's got a new 2-year deal with Brooklyn. And then there are the Lakers, who are getting even older. By adding Carmelo Anthony to the mix, he's going to spend his 19th season in LA. It's a 1-year deal, so he'll join LeBron, AD, and Russell Westbrook. But look at this. The Lakers have now signed 7 free agents. Plus, they traded for Westbrook. So they're experienced and just plain getting older, because 6 players are 32 or older, and that is the most ever added in a single offseason in NBA history. I'm not going to average out this next shot, but Bobby Marks is here. We are in front of the screen. Look, they've been busy, have the Lakers, but they still have some work to do because there are 3 open spots. So who and what should they be targeting?
Yeah, they've got 12 players under contract. As we saw with the recent signing, the veteran minimum exception, bargain shopping, the tax mid-level went to Kendrick Nunn right there. It's a top-heavy roster here. The one name that we can keep an eye on, right, is a player like Dennis Schroeder. They still have his bird rights here. What happens with Schroeder there? That's kind of the name to keep an eye on, because maybe you can flip him down the road here. But 3 roster spots. You're looking at minimum players unless you can maybe do something with Schroeder.
Okay, the Lakers are obviously making a big splash, but they're not the only team making moves. We just mentioned some of the things that Chicago has done. The Bulls, a free agent frenzy, if you will, because they got Lonzo Ball, DeMar DeRozan, and Alex Caruso. They have all been added to that roster. So now you have 3 20-point scorers from a season ago in Vucevic and DeMar DeRozan and Lonzo Ball. But much like the Lakers, Bobby, they also have holes to fill. So again, same question for the Bulls. What should they be looking at, or who?
So they've got 9 players under contract here with the DeMar DeRozan signing. Alex Caruso also came out. They added Tony Bradley today. They still have restricted free agent Lauri Markkanen. They've got his bird rights. They can sign him to the qualifying offer, which is at $9 million. But that's another team that's got a lot of holes to fill. They've got the veteran minimum exception. I'm not ready to put them up there with Philadelphia, Brooklyn, Milwaukee, even Miami. This is still kind of a tier B team, but they've got 5 roster spots and there's still work to do. But it's a great start when you can add Lonzo and certainly DeMar DeRozan, Alex Caruso. This is kind of what's going to be a little bit of a wild card this offseason. Zach LaVine. Yeah, he's extension eligible. He's looking for his contract to be renegotiated. They don't have cap space to do it. The potential is that he's going to have to play out the year and enter next year as an unrestricted free agent.
Here's a guy who's also said, I just want respect in the contract talks. That's Bobby Marks.
And they tried to get together at a few different points in their career. It never quite worked out. but it does now. And Carmelo Anthony comes to a Laker team that's going to need its shooting and needs a four-man on their roster like he is. And so he's become one of the better, catch and shoot three-point shooters in his later years. This is a top 10 all-time scorer, and this is a really unique group with just tremendous star power now in LA. Obviously, not just Carmelo Anthony, but bringing in Russell Westbrook. This is going to be a really interesting team to follow, and it's going to be a fun ride with them this season.
I don't know if the Lakers were already sold out season ticket-wise, but can you imagine trying to get a Lakers ticket now for next season? That is spectacular work by them in the offseason. I think the Bulls are one of those teams, Woj, that the NBA is better when Chicago is good. I feel like all of a sudden they've gotten a lot better. They had two starters in free agency, Lonzo Ball yesterday and DeMar DeRozan today. How'd the Bulls get that last one done?
Yeah, DeMar DeRozan needed a landing spot. There wasn't really salary cap space out there for the kind of deal that he wanted, which ultimately was 3 years, $85 million plus in Chicago. So the sign and trade route, and Chicago, giving up another first-round pick, a couple second-round picks. The Bulls have traded picks in the Nikola Vucevic trade back at the trade deadline. So they've remade their team. They've gone in now with Lonzo Ball, Vucevic, and now DeMar DeRozan with a team that I think Billy Donovan, their head coach, there's going to be expectations, of making the postseason. And I think the relationship with Mark Eversley, who's the general manager, works with Arturas Karnisovas, their president. His relationship with DeRozan, going back to their days in Toronto, I believe that was a key factor in helping to sell DeRozan on it. And I think Eversley and Karnisovas' comfort with bringing DeMar DeRozan in and seeing if he can help elevate this team, and Zach LaVine, his future in Chicago. He wants to win, hasn't been in the playoffs yet. They've got to get into the postseason.
Hey, Woj, quickly on the way out here, are there enough chess pieces league-wide? Do we have another 24 hours of fun activity, or this is going to dry up quickly here league-wide?
No, there's still more pieces out there, and I think there's still some more trades possibly on the board. Dennis Schroeder's not found a home yet. That's a player to keep your eye on. Spencer Dinwiddie continues to try to see if he can get a deal done with the Wizards. They're probably going to need some help from the Nets in a side
here, right? I mean, how are they pulling this off? Explain the money.
Yeah, when we entered free agency, the Lakers had about $130 million, which was $18 million over the $112 million salary cap. So their options were really limited. We called it bargain shopping here. And what they were able to do was they had three different options. Talen Horton-Tucker, they signed him today to the early bird exception. They're allowed to exceed the salary cap to do so. He was on the roster for 2 years. And then you look at a player like Kendrick Nunn, who was in Miami. That is the taxpayer mid-level exception. So he got most of that. And then here's all your bargains. Kent Bazemore, Trevor Ariza, Dwight, Carmelo, Malik Monk, Wayne Ellington, all took the veteran minimum exception. And I like what they did today with Malik Monk. You're able to get Kendrick Nunn. You got a little bit younger. You got some shooting to put around the big three here. And they still have 3 roster spots. But the most important thing, $34 million luxury tax penalty, the biggest ever in Laker franchise history. So there's a cost associated to this roster.
They'll be writing a lot of checks there. Yeah. And by the way, earlier in the day today, it was the big fella, Marc Gasol, saying, in fact, he would be coming back to the Lakers next season. We've talked a lot about first dominoes falling, right? We've seen quite a few dominoes fall so far, Bobby. Who's left?
Yeah, so I call them the cap space free agent. That's what their label was before free agency started. Those aren't the players who are going to sign for the taxpayer mid-level or even the full mid-level. That's the players like Spencer Dinwiddie, Larry Markkinen, Reggie Jackson, Dennis Schroeder, who is with the Lakers there. And the problem right now is that the market's frozen. There's only about 3 teams that have cap space. You're looking at a team like Charlotte. New York's got a little bit. San Antonio, Oklahoma City. So a player like Dinwiddie trying to arrange a sign-and trade to get to Washington. It's complicated because the Nets want compensation back. Right. We saw in the DeMar DeRozan sign-and trade. They got first-round pick, 2 seconds. Devontae Graham to New Orleans. Charlotte got a first-round pick. So you got to have some, you've got to work with the team here. Schroeder.
In American sports, kind of a big deal. The Nets shored up their backcourt on Tuesday. Patty Mills' agent telling Woj that the veteran point guard is signing a 2-year deal with Brooklyn. The Aussie is a career 39% shooter from three-point range. DeMar DeRozan also left the Spurs Tuesday in a sign and trade with the Chicago Bulls. DeRozan will sign a 3-year, $85 million deal.